Certainly, I would have loved to stay for the whole day, but because, as all of you are aware, in the next few days, the national executive of the BJP is scheduled to meet in Lucknow, and all of us are in the process of getting ready and prepared for that main event. As a result, I thought I'll definitely learn from being here all that is being said by eminent speakers, and therefore I tried staying back. I'm really sorry if I'd rushed you all about changing the order of speakers, and I do respect every thought which is expressed here, because although I don't want to start on a personal note, I do have a peculiarity, and therefore I have to say I am here as a spokesperson of a national party which certainly would want to grow in every part of the country, a national party which will certainly make sure that governance being the top of agenda, believing that smaller states can perform, much to probably even contradict one of the eminent speakers saying probably smaller states are not doing well. There are enough statistics to prove that small states have done well in the last 10 years, and for which there is enough information provided by Government of India and the Prime Minister's office in particular to say, and I take extreme pride in saying this, to say that the 3 newly formed states, which are just 10 years old, are doing very well, especially on indicators which matter to human welfare, especially on indicators which are social welfare related. So if we are in our urgency towards growth, sustainable growth, I think it is important to see that the smaller states are the ones which are showing indicators which are not being produced by the BJP but by Government of India, that social welfare indicators are better served there. Instruments of public welfare are reaching out to the doorstep of the people, and therefore if anyone here has an apprehension that smaller states may probably have a problem, teething problem of survival, please ward that off. There is enough evidence to believe that even a state like Jharkhand, which I understand had a history of instability, political instability even within the first 10 years, still has shown indicators that it is moving forward and in a very appreciable way. Therefore, let us first remove that anxiety that probably smaller states cannot. I will produce enough data, if there is permission sometime, to prove that smaller states are definitely speeding up on the process of reaching out to its people. Reaching out to its people is the main issue, and through that you are able to get the pulse of the people better, you are able to address issues of concern, people's concern better. And as a result, I take pride in saying smaller states in which BJP believes are performing well, and if only during the time when Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Uttarakhand were created, if we did not have compulsions of alliance, we would have definitely made sure Telangana was also created. Unfortunately, because of compulsions, not the kind of compulsions of alliance which UPA is talking about. I'm a political party representative. Sorry if my speech verges on taking a chance to hit at my opponent, but I will do it because I have substantial reasons to do it here. The political opponent believes in buying time, believing in postponing decisions which are crucial and critical to people. And as a result of which today, Telangana has become a very, very critical issue, thanks entirely to their nearly 50 years of rule in Andhra Pradesh, after even the gentleman's agreement. There cannot be a doubt that by procrastination and by delaying critical decision, issues in Andhra Pradesh have got complicated. And today again, it's the same Congress party which has messed up Andhra Pradesh. And as a result, we are all of us, people in the region of Telangana, in the region of coastal areas and in the Rayalaseema area, are facing a troubled, very, very delicate moment in the history of free India, which is thanks entirely to the Congress party, because their very business is to delay decision. And you've seen it today on how critical issues, either they delay decision or give us excuses. And therefore, slightly differing from the earlier speakers, particularly, I hesitate to say this, but probably even digressing and probably not really taking the line which eminent jurist Prashant Bhushan has taken. The conspiracy to support corporate sector probably is a bit later. The delay to take a decision, looking at alternatives to delay decision, looking at postponing decisions, and therefore one of the tools for which that kind of a delay can be justified was seen in the form of forming a committee. And a committee, because if it was a commission, you probably will be compelled to take some of its suggestions. A committee is good enough to use as a tool for delaying decision. And therefore, I'm not in any way saying Sri Bhushan's argument has no merit. It certainly will have a lot of merit. But I'm not even going that far. I'm saying Hyderabad, corporate sectors, pressures, all that may be very, very critical. But the first step towards the whole thing is Congress parties not wanting to take a decision, looking at a very, very substantial, viable, in at least as a facade, alternative to delay decision, and therefore form a committee and not a commission as per the act. And as a result, you could have a breather of a time, and after the breather, do what you want with the kind of recommendation which the committee has to come up with, because it's not binding on you. It's a committee. You can always say, no, it's a suggestion, we'll see what we can do. So it was a tool for those who are sitting there to delay, to cover up for the mess that they created midnight, to cover up the promise which they came up for some reason, which they would call hastily, but which we think was some kind of a mischief somewhere in decision making. So that being my contention, I really wouldn't want to go to the extent of looking further up, but to say Congress party does not have the courage to take important decisions, and they would only look for excuses. This played up as one. But going further to the commission and the committee and its report itself, the argument that jurists are brought in, judges are brought in to look at situations which are very delicate, and therefore we expect to have a report which might be very, very useful, has fallen flat on its face. We know when judges are brought in for taking important considerations from the people so that there can be important decisions to be made. The reason for justifying such presence of eminent jurists is because people in judiciary, people who are trained in judiciary, rise above arbitrariness. In case there was a question of arbitrary viewpoint, emotions being very high in the region of Telangana, in case as the people in the coastal districts and Seema were feeling probably there's a lot of sentiment which is being referred to, and probably it is not there in the ground. And if you really wanted to test that, you wanted to have somebody come who would rise above that emotion, sentiment, and in a very cold, logical fashion look at what is really there to give us a meaningful report. The government probably thought it fit to have a jurist or a judge to come. But why does a jurist or a mind which is trained in judiciary give us the sense of little confidence, saying probably a retired judge has come, he's probably going to give us some kind of an input? It is because we believe they rise above arbitrariness. They rise above with a certain kind of coolness and look at emotionally charged arguments. And Telangana is an emotionally charged argument. Let us not forget. And therefore, when we thought there were two jurists in the panel, two eminent sociologists, social scientists, and a bureaucrat who's had a very good, enviable experience in internal security matters because he had a tenure in Home Ministry, you expected to have a report which will come with certain kind of formulations with which all of us from the political parties will reach the government to say, would you want to consider this? We didn't expect he's going to come up with 6 formulations. We thought some kind of a recommendation would come over which all of us can have a share of arguments and ask the government to deal with it. But what comes out at the end is that primary USP with which a jurist, a trained jurist together with another expert, a professor, should have looked at without a sense of arbitrariness,